So, hey everybody, welcome to the second ever episode of Let's Talk with Mel's video podcast. I am super excited to have our interviewee today, the distinguished Toastmaster Eileen Wolfe. Now, Eileen Wolfe is no stranger to leadership. She currently serves as a president of Wolverton Business Solutions, which is a business and communications consulting firm. Her company specializes in training and consultation for leaders in a wide array of areas, such as strategy development, project management, and business process reengineering. Her expertise does not just span the business world, but also our Toastmasters organization, where she's not only a distinguished Toastmaster who has served as international director, but she is also a past regional advisor. She was the first and only person in the entire Caribbean to serve as a Toastmasters International Director for the period 1989 to 1991. To this very day, she's well recognized for her contribution to the growth of the Toastmasters movement. She is also the mother of our district, the Caribbean district, District 81. She's therefore well suited to guide us through key processes as to how to go about creating a district, and we're definitely excited to be hearing from her. Please help me welcome our guest for our second podcast episode, distinguished Toastmaster Eileen Wolfe. Toastmaster Eileen, it's such a pleasure to have you on. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
All right, perfect. So before we go further into our interview, Toastmaster Eileen, could you just start us off by telling us what makes Eileen Wolfe Eileen Wolfe?
Well, you know, my philosophy, and it is the philosophy of my little company that I have, if it is to be, it's up to me.
Oh, whoa.
What it really says to me is that you can't depend on anyone to create your success. You are responsible for your own success. And therefore, rather than riding on the coattails of others, find an area that you can explore and can make your own. So be responsible for your own success. If it is to be, it's up to me.
All right, beautiful. That was well said. Wow. Talking about if it is to be, it's up to me. That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
All right. So how does that transition into the reason why you joined Toastmasters and your experience over these past few years?
Well, when I grew up, I was very, very shy, exceedingly shy. In fact, I remember on my 16th birthday party, my mother insisted that I had to say thank you to everybody. And I burst into tears and left the table, and it was very embarrassing. So I recognized the fact that I had a communication problem. I was just exceedingly shy. When I went to Canada, and I had excelled in music, and when I was on the concert stage playing, I had no issues because I didn't have to speak. I was introduced by the first violinist and the orchestra leader, and I'd sit on the piano and do my concert pieces, and I'd come off. But then I went and did computer science as well, and I thought, no problem, I can sit and do my little programs and nobody will want me to speak. But sure enough, I kept working for people who expected me to present my masterpiece that I had created in the computer lab.
Okay.
But I always managed to get a PR person to do this for me. But I went to a meeting where my boss had an opportunity for someone to buy and pay lots of money for a piece of software that I had developed. So that was kind of a prestigious thing in itself. But when I got there, they insisted that I had to present it. Well, I was total disaster. I was so bad, it was pitiful. There are times when my tongue stuck at the roof of my mouth and I couldn't get it back down. And it was just awful. So in the middle of the presentation, the client stopped and said to my boss, why don't you bring in the person who developed the software? And he said, that's her. So when I got back to the office, I recognized the fact that I was 2 minutes away from being fired. But this lovely secretary we had, she said, come with me tonight. I have somewhere I'm going to take you. And I said, where? She said, it's a communication and leadership organization, and it's called Toastmasters, and you learn all the skills. And she took me there August the 2nd, 1978. And someone came to the door and he said, my name is Doug Anderson and I'll be your mentor. He took me under his wing. They asked me what my name was. I couldn't remember my name for the life of me until I got back in the class. I said, Eileen Wolfe, it's Eileen Wolfe. And then I realized how much I needed help. So Vancouver Club 59 it was, and they just took me on the ring, and Toastmasters opened up a whole new world and whole new opportunities, and here I am today.
Oh my word, that is a beautiful story, Toastmaster Eileen. That is a beautiful story. So in total, how many years have you been a Toastmaster? Because I know you've been a part of this movement for a long time.
Did you say how many years?
Yes.
42.
42 years as a Toastmaster.
Unbroken years. I've never missed a year.
Oh my gosh, that really speaks a lot to your dedication towards Toastmasters. And during this time, I know Toastmaster Eileen, you've actually served in a number of roles at the club, division, district, even area levels. You've gone beyond to Toastmasters International. Could you share with us some of the roles that you've served in and how this has enabled your growth?
Okay. Well, I developed some new clubs in British Columbia. I was working my way up the ranks, except for treasurer. I had served in all the positions within the club.
Okay.
When I was club president, our club was #1 in the world, and Toastmasters International invited me to the international convention to join a workshop or to help to lead a workshop on how to make your club #1. So that was quite exciting. As area governor, I had gone out of town and had left Vancouver where I was living, and had gone out to do some work up in the Northwest Territories. When I came back, my friend met me at the airport, my mentor Doug, and said, well, we have you nominated for Lieutenant Governor of Marketing. I said, what do you mean you have me nominated for Lieutenant? I've just finished doing area governor, shouldn't I be division governor? He says, we're bypassing that, we need you. So the next one year, having been out of town for a year, and they met me at the airport, took me to the executive meeting. The conference was in session when I returned, and I was elected LGM and just went up from there. Next was Lieutenant Governor of Education and Training.
And just for information, Toastmaster Eileen, just for persons, newer Toastmasters who may be listening, Lieutenant Governor for Marketing is what we call Club Growth Director today.
Club Growth Director, yes.
Right. And then for the program quality.
Yes. And then District Director was our District Governor.
Okay, perfect. All right.
There. Soon after I became District Governor, Dougie came to me again and he said, okay, it's time for you to move forward. I said, move forward, I've just become District Governor. And we've been successful. We made the year to President's Distinguished. This is great. He says, no, you need to go further. So he encouraged me now to run for office to be on the board of directors. I said, how can I, a little girl from Jamaica who has a whole different accent, how, be on the board? I said, that was little, crazy. He said, no. So he got me out there. He headed up my campaign. We worked. The first year I didn't make it because there were 5 other people that were running, and I lost by 1,000 votes. They threw me back in the ring, and the next year I won, and won really big by 10,000 votes.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
International director. And this has been the highlight of my career. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was just wonderful. I was in charge of British Columbia, State of Washington, Idaho, Wisconsin, Salt Lake City, or rather Utah, northern part of California, Oregon, and the northern part of Nevada. And so I traveled on that path for the entire 2 years and just had an absolutely wonderful time and made a lot of friends, friendships which are still very strong today. Okay.
So what exactly does one do as an international director? Like what specific areas do you assist in or assist your districts in so they can continue to evolve and to ensure they're meeting the needs of all the members that would come onto that district?
Well, at the time when I was international director, which was 1989 to 91, we did everything. We did the role our role was strategy and policy making, but it was also operational, visiting with the districts, working with them, training and all of that. What happened is that the younger Toastmasters that came up, just didn't have the energy that we older people had, and decided that this was too much work. So they split the role, and so right now, currently, the international director does policy and strategy, and all the new manuals and all of that are created, they go through all of that and make sure that these are in keeping with the principles of Toastmasters. And the region advisor now does the operational part where they get out, helping them to meet their objectives, training, and working with them on the ground. So they've enrolled in too. So I had an opportunity. What helped me as a region advisor was the fact that I had done a lot of that work before as an international director, because that was part of what we did. Yeah.
So it was an easy transition into region advisor.
Yes.
All right, perfect. What I'd love to know though, Toastmaster Eileen, is what does it take to become an international director or region advisor? What would you say to all our young Toastmasters who may not think this avenue is possible for them?
Well, you need to be very, there's a tendency sometimes that we spend a lot of time on the communication side of the
Organization, right.
Not enough time on the leadership side. If you're going to take on these roles, people are going to look for you for leadership. So there's a lot of things that you're going to have to do. You have to understand teamwork, you understand conflict management. So it's a lot more than just learning to speak, learning to lead. It's really understanding how do I deal with conflicts? How do I get people to attain their goals and not be caught up in hostilities and all of that? I had to do that a lot. I've never, in my role as international director, had so many issues, but certainly as regional advisor, I did. But not more than that, you know, you need to understand what the role is all about. I am on the committee where we elected for nominating the international directors and for selecting regional advisors. And it's amazing how many people come to the interview and they have not, when you ask them what the role is, you know, they're hemming and hawing and thinking what they think it is. If you're going to be running for these offices, you need to understand what the role is. You need to then start practicing or putting yourself or gaining some knowledge and experience in that role. There's absolutely no use for it. Strategy making is a very important one. And I'm very fortunate that in working for Cable and Wireless, I had to do a lot of strategy development, and a lot of my consulting career has been that. So that was an easy one for me. Conflict management is one that I had to learn on the job. And it was, you know, was one that really played a big part in people obtaining their goals in the region. So it's one that you really have to get yourself together. And so it's learning a lot of things on leadership, really emphasizing the leadership side and making sure that you're setting an example so that you're a role model for the people that you're leading.
That's perfect. So if at some point in my future, I'd love to go and serve as a region advisor or as an international director, the first place to start is ensuring you understand what the role is about and what would be required of you.
And
do your research.
Set out for you that you can understand it. You just download it and then do that. And a lot of these things applicable to your job.
That is why Toastmasters is so important.
Really ties into your job, you know.
That is perfect. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Eileen. And for everyone out there in podcast land, if you want to serve at all levels of our organization, there is so many things that you can do, but it starts with just doing the research, understanding what the role is about, and consulting with the experienced persons like distinguished Toastmaster Eileen Wolfe. So thank you for that, Toastmaster Eileen.
One thing I want to add to that is that what I learned as an international director and as a regional advisor is that the Toastmasters International World Headquarters staff are exceedingly helpful. Any questions that you have, you just give them a phone call and they'll steer you in the right direction. And if it's not their area of expertise, they'll lead you to someone whose area of expertise. I have found them exceedingly helpful. In fact, when people phone and ask me a question, though I know the answer, I always double check to make sure, because things are constantly changing.
Changing, absolutely.
So that I make sure that I'm not steering in the wrong direction.
And I can testify to that, Toastmaster Eileen, because you have mentored me in a number of different roles, which I'm truly appreciative and grateful for. And one of the things that I do remember is you always tell me to go and look up the information that's online first, so I understand. And then I call and ask TI directly to make sure that I've captured it correctly. And then I can move forward with confidence. So thank you very much for that tip. It's one that I've actually taken advantage of and will continue to in future. There is another question that I would love to ask you. You actually created District 81, our district, the Caribbean district. I would like to know what instigated you to create the district and what process did you have to go through to make it possible?
Well, let me just give you a little bit of the background. I have been living in Canada for over 30 years.
All right.
And I got a job. I actually moved from Canada to Philadelphia, whereas I was a TLI, Toastmaster Leadership Institute director. I moved from there and went to live in England, District 71. So I'm truly an international Toastmaster. So when I was in England, I went to take up a new job that I had with Cable and Wireless and the British company. And when I went to start my new job, I had been working in a consulting firm before, and then I got this job with Cable and Wireless. And when I went to start my new job, there was a gentleman there named Errol Miller, who actually is the husband of our former Prime Minister, Portia Susan Miller. And he said that I saw your resume, and I think that we could use your talents in Jamaica. I really think that we could use it. So can I persuade you? So he made me an offer I couldn't refuse. So I packed up everything and left England after 4 years and came down to live in Jamaica. When I went to my convention and the World Headquarters staff heard that I was moving to Jamaica, Terry McCann, who was the executive director at the time, and Stan Stills, and two international presidents, President Ted Wood and President Benny Bow, they all came to me and said, if you're going to the Caribbean, then we need for you to do something for us. I said, what? I said, there are two islands that have been trying to form a district. We would like to have the entire Caribbean come together to form a district, not just individual islands. It has more bandwidth, it's more supportive, and it gives it much more power and impact. So we would like you to do that. And the reason why we selected you, for the simple reason that I did a lot of work with the Alaska Council of Toastmasters, Alaska Territorial Council. I went to Alaska a lot, did the training for them, helped them in their formation. And they didn't become a district because it's so transient, but they were a territorial council for a long time. And then I also helped with the European Council of Toastmasters, which became District 59. So he said, with all of that background and, go to the Caribbean. So I said, well, being a project manager, I said, I'm not going to go unless you sit down with me and let's walk through the steps. So I sat down with Stan Stills, and he was fantastic. Stan Stills was an assistant to the executive director, and he walked me through the process, why we should become a district, and what are the benefits of being a district. He walked me through what the process should be, that you have to have 20 clubs and you become a territorial council. Then after that, you become when you retain that per year, then you get 40 clubs, you become a provisional district. And then when you get 60 clubs and the whole idea of hanging on to that per year, they want to make sure that you don't get it and then you fizzle back down, and because it's organizing. And then you get 60 clubs and you become a district. So I put together, being a project manager, I put together my Gantt chart, what the timing should be. I put together my activity list, and next thing I created a project plan. So I ran a project plan through him, and he said, yes, that's perfect. And then Ted Wood said, I will move to Florida, I will come over and help you, and you can come over and we'll help you. So I thought, this is fantastic. So after that, I came down to Jamaica, tried to persuade, and my biggest job was persuading Jamaica and Curacao that they needed to join the bigger picture. Because getting it on their own is going to take a long time. They were nowhere near the numbers. So, but anyway, I just got down here and I decided that I got to do this. I got to make this happen. So one of the things that I did was that I made a presentation to the Caribbean, to Jamaica, so that they could understand what the process that was involved. Then I went to Curacao and did the same thing. So they had something to think about. And then I had to now put together a script. And I developed a script, and I asked Toastmasters International to send me the undistricted clubs in the Caribbean. They send the undistricted clubs in the world. These are hundreds and hundreds of clubs. I had to go through them. With Telma's help, we went through them and picked out the ones that looked like they were Caribbean. And that was a tremendous amount of work. But I put a spreadsheet together, sent it back to TI. I said, does this look right? And they said, yes. Made a couple of changes. And then, I sat down one night. I came home from work early and sat down one afternoon. And I'm not kidding you. It was over 5 hours. I sat there and called every single club in the Caribbean. I'd read them
Every single one?
At a high level, what it is that we're trying to do and what benefit would be for them to be a district. And I thought, well, I'm going to get, all sorts of pushback because people are used to working on their own, and expected all of that. The first person I spoke to was from Barbados. It was Sherry Ann Batson, who with Sunjet Toastmasters, and she said, you can stop the script right now. I'm interested, I want to do that. So just say your sales pitch for somebody else. And then I called, and it was phenomenal. I called Keman next, and I went through and called every single club. It was absolutely phenomenal. I was surprised at the positive response I got. Then what I did now, I took my presentation that I'd done, and I put together a big, huge mail out, and to all the people that I said, no, this presentation, I gave them a little bit more feedback. And also, it also gave them a little bit more substance. And then, so I sent it to the people I didn't get a chance to call, and I suggested that I give them, when they get this, to let me know, and I'll call them. And then I sent it to everybody. And then I put together a conference, and Toastmasters, the Cable and Wireless organization, really came and helped me. And they said that they would finance it so that the people coming up would not have to pay. So I sent
when you say finance it, you mean the
we're having this conference, and everybody decided that they were, at the 25 people said they're going to come. I need 20 to become a club, to become a district. And I was so excited. But when we came, we had more than the 25, and it was absolutely fantastic. Ted Wood flew over, and between he and I, we ran the whole conference. I would do a presentation, he'd do another presentation. And then we selected our first executive. And then I decided that I would sponsor dinner at my house, out of my pocket. So I brought everybody over to my house, including spouses and everybody. And on my patio, I lived in a house that had a very nice patio. On the patio, underneath the stars, we installed, Ted and I installed the first executive.
For District 81. Wow.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
The first executive. And it was just really exciting. So after everybody went home, Ted and I said, okay, tomorrow morning, let's get up early. Let's look at all the paperwork we got, and let's see what we have and what we need. So I looked at him and said, do we have to wait till tomorrow morning? He said, no, go get it. So I went and got the paperwork, and we sat there and we screamed. We had 22, we needed 20. We had 22 clubs signed up. I was so excited. And his wife came downstairs and she says, what's happening? Is there a crooked lizard in the house? Are you guys screaming? Why? I said, and we told her, we were so excited. We were so excited. He said, don't waste any time. The next morning, I packaged it all up, sent it down to Toastmasters International. And then I got a call from Curacao. The clubs in Curacao wanted to know if they could join. If it was too late, I said, no, it's never too late. I got 11 more clubs. So we chatted with 33. I sent it down with 33 and asked for permission. Now, the fact that we sent that and got the numbers doesn't necessarily mean that we charter. The board of directors and Toastmasters International Executive Committee, which is the presidents and vice presidents and all of that. So I had to go to New Zealand because I was invited by the past international president-led jury to come to New Zealand. So a few weeks after I went to New Zealand, went to a conference in the north side of New Zealand, and there was Gabby Blakey, and he was beside himself. He says, I didn't expect to see you. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I hear from my office, from the world headquarters, that 33 clubs from the Caribbean. Eileen, that is remarkable. I'm so excited. So he said, well, no, we have to meet. When I get back, we're going to meet. And then we'll make a decision and announce it at the International Convention. So I went back, feeling very excited. And then I went to the International Convention. And in the board of directors meeting, they got up and said, the Caribbean is now the Caribbean Territorial Council of Toastmasters with 33 clubs. And there was a huge applause, and everybody got up and gave us a standing ovation. And I went beside myself. I was so excited. I was so excited. And the next day, we have the Hall of Fame. And I had got an inkling that something was happening because of the way that the international presidents were looking at me. But I was presented with a presidential citation.
Oh my gosh, yes, I do remember.
Directors and the executive committee and all the past presidents selected me as for presidential citation for the formation of District 81. And what I was excited about was the fact that we moved so quickly. When they did all of that, we were just a territorial council. Very soon after that, we became provisional, and soon after that, we lost the P and became a fully fledged district and still doing exceedingly well today. So that is one of my proudest moments, one that I feel very good about, one that I get acknowledged every time I go to the convention. They always acknowledge that. So very, very excited about that.
Yes, I have heard you're a superstar at every international convention, treated like a queen, which you should be for all that you put in, Eileen. It's amazing because I think every single one of us in the Caribbean are truly appreciative and grateful because we are able to achieve all that we can because we're now a district. So I just really wanted to say thank you so much for all the effort that went into creating District 81. We're benefiting greatly from it. I am definitely benefiting greatly from it. I want you to clarify something for us though. What is the difference between, so apart from the numbers, is there any restrictions on members if they're a provisional district versus being an actual district? Is there things that we can do or can't do based on the change in that status?
You have the same, when you become a fully fledged district, you
Okay.
get full training.
Okay.
But while we were provisional, what I did was that Toastmasters International provided me with all the training manuals and everything.
Okay.
So that I was able to do the training at every single convention. And then a lot of what was very exciting about the world of Toastmasters is the friendships that you make. We have a past international director luncheon and a past international president and past international director luncheon. And when they found out, I was acknowledged at that luncheon by one of the past presidents who got up and said, she just formed a district. And they all stood up and applauded me again. But one of the guys kept saying, so what are we doing? What are you doing about training? Because, you know, you can't, until you become a fully fledged district, they don't fly you down for training. They said, why don't you come up to Jamaica and help? And they certainly did. Two of my friends came up to Jamaica and helped with the training. One of my friends came up from California. She was a past international director. She came up from California. And she was the one that installed me when I became a district governor. She came up to California. And it was really wonderful. My friend who was a past international director, in fact, I managed his campaign. He came up from Luxembourg and came to the conference in Jamaica. We had a conference out in the old Grand Hotel. And he came up and he did an official role. And he was just phenomenal. The support I got, you know, just people came up and started helping with the training. Otherwise, I used to train area governors, then the division governors, and then the LGETs, and then the LGMs, and then the district governor. You know, they came up and helped me. It was just phenomenal.
Wow.
I think the world of Toastmasters.
I fully concur with you. I think some of my biggest friendships right now are actually persons that I've met throughout this organization. So you're definitely right. Thank you so much for sharing that point, Toastmaster Eileen. I also wanted to clarify a quick point. It was your company at the time who sponsored the conference?
Sorry?
I was clarifying, you had made a point. It was your company, Lime Cable and Wireless at the time, that had sponsored the conference?
Yeah, they sponsored the conference. They were just so good to me. In fact, when we got the news that I was a presidential citation, Toastmasters International wrote them a letter, and they put a big notice in the Observer. They were very good. They had a Toastmasters club in Barbados, actually. And they really endorsed what I was doing and was really pleased and excited. So they said that they would sponsor the conference at the one-day conference. It was a one-day conference at Terra Nova, but it was a very good conference because that's the one where I got people to commit to whether they were going to whether they wanted to be a district or not.
Okay, thank you so much for clarifying. It's really good when organizations are a part of this movement and when they also see the wealth and the benefit in being a Toastmaster and supporting the cause. So that's amazing, and kudos to the Cable and Wireless team at the time who made that happen.
They really supported my Toastmaster career. When I became international director, I wasn't here, I was overseas. But when I became any role that I took on that I had to travel, they were quite supportive.
Wow, that's amazing news. And it also links to one of the key things that you also do today. I know that you are a main contributor to a number of the Toastmasters manuals that we use. And I would like to focus on one in particular that relates to club growth. So based on your experience, Toastmaster Eileen, how does one go about creating a new club?
Well, first of all, is looking around in your area to see what organization you think would be part of. And I tell you what, let me give you an example of where people need to look outside of the box.
Okay.
When I was in Canada, a gentleman came to me and he said that he wanted to run for government office, but he was from Hong Kong and he wasn't quite sure that he was able to be able to express himself. He spoke English well, but he wasn't going to, you know, how to put his formulated thoughts together. So he said, he heard as a Toastmaster, and so could I help him? So I sat there and I coached him and helped him, and he ran for office and he won. And so I said to him, okay, I tell you what, many of your people that come from Hong Kong to Vancouver, because Vancouver is a gateway to the Orient, I said, many of your people are going to need to be able to establish themselves in this new society and be able to get jobs and be able to, you know, get offices and to be able to, you know, in-person employers. So I said, why don't you start a club? Why don't we start a Toastmasters club where you'll get a chance to practice English? We will come and coach you, and then you'll be able to go to get it. So he said, really? So I said, I'll allow you one meeting per month to speak Chinese, but all the other meetings must be in English. Well, he said, are you kidding me? And he said, that sounds like a great idea. So I went and did a presentation to their club. And so the whole idea of the club was that they would, just have to develop their English and be able to express themselves and establish themselves. And then I invited some of our non-Chinese Toastmasters to join so that we could, give them a whole different perspective. Well, that became my 100th club in British Columbia. So we call it the Centennial Club because it was the 100th club to be chartered. Oh. They chartered with 60 members.
Did you say 60? Isn't the requirement 20?
60 members. So we did the club in two. It was absolutely unbelievable.
All right. All right.
That was so strong. But so I said to people, think outside of the box. But the important thing is, when you're going to start a club, is decide, is it a community club? Is it a corporate club? Both of them have advantages.
Okay.
But find yourself with the HR person who is usually responsible for the education and all that. But make sure that you understand this though, because we run into some problems here, is that the person might not necessarily be the decision maker.
Absolutely.
And therefore you can do a lot of work with the HR person and you think that you have everything all covered and only to find out. And we had a situation here where we had almost to the brink of charting the club and we thought the club was going to be chartered. And what ended up happening was when I was the district governor, who at the time, Sherry Ann Batson, district director, she asked me if I'd go out and just check and see what was going on, but she couldn't understand why we thought we were fill out charter papers and we hadn't got any further. So when I got there and I spoke to the HR person, she said, well, I don't have the authority, The authority comes from above, and we didn't meet with the people above. And when I went to speak with them, they told me that they had other things on the agenda for now, so it wasn't going to happen. So all the work that we did, and we never did follow up and make sure that happened. The other thing too is is to make sure that and then start putting that demonstration meeting in place so that everybody knows and understands what it is. Start to do that quite quickly. And there's a secret to the demonstration meeting. Do not make it long. And make sure that you have Toastmasters, a mixture of Toastmasters that are not very experienced because you don't want to intimidate people. So I'll usually get people doing your icebreaker so they can see that they're not intimidated, that you start from all levels. And then you get someone who's experienced and that person now will show this is where you can get to. So it really excites people that this is where you begin and this is where you can get to. And plan that meeting, that demonstration meeting between 2 or 3 weeks after you made the contacts. And follow up. That is absolutely important.
So Eileen, I have a question for you. Going back to how everything started off. So what you are noting, and this is important. I know you had taught me this when I was serving as club growth director for the division. The key thing is to ensure that you're meeting with the decision makers and not just somebody you made contact with in the company. And then ensure that you have the presentation and clearly outline how this particular change or adding Toastmasters will add value to them and their area of their profession or the industry that they're in.
That is important. When you go and have that marketing meeting must be geared to the organization. So if you're talking to Cable and Wireless, you need to know what Cable and Wireless particular needs are and speak directly to those. Otherwise, you can't just use the generic approach. It's not going to get there because they can say, oh, yeah, that will help me. They can identify. So you want to get right to the heart of the matter, to the things that are important to them, to the specific needs that they're having. And so when you speak to them, you can you can be addressing, seeing how the Toastmasters organization is going to help their particular needs.
All right, thank you so much for that, Toastmaster Eileen. That is a crash course in creating a new club, everyone in podcast land. You can do it too by following this method. And for more information, there is actually a club growth manual. Toastmaster Eileen is one of the main contributors to that as well. So you can look through that for even more information on how to create new clubs.
And I should say the region advisors in my year, we all contributed to that manual, by the way.
Say that again.
The region advisors in the year that I was region advisor, we all contributed to the creation.
It was a labor of love between all the regional advisors.
Yes.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for clarifying that point. Another key thing I would love to mention, Toastmaster Eileen, is that you're currently the president of the Meadowvale Toastmasters Club. Can you just tell us a little bit about your experience and the focus for the rest of this year and beyond for the Meadowvale Toastmasters Club?
Well, we have gone through some struggles, you know. I think one of the issues that we had for a longest time was the instability of our meeting place. So,
Okay.
and in that process, we lost some members. And so we're back now and we have a regular meeting place and we're trying to get back and get everything back in place. And I think we're getting there. What I need to talk to you about though is the fact that despite all the issues, you know, we've had 2 of these meetings because we decided that we're going to meet no matter what's going on. So we've had 2 video meetings.
Okay.
But what I really like about the club is the spirit. The
Yes.
spirit, no matter what, we're going to hang in there. We're not giving up. And the quality, the quality. And I am really pleased and delighted, and I'm just so overwhelmed with the spirit of Toastmasters that exists in Division B particularly, where people come out and support us and are constantly out at our meetings supporting us and giving us a lot of support. And it's just amazing. You know, Corinne is one of those that are out on a regular basis, always supporting us. You came out on a regular basis. We're going to steal you away. But the fact of the matter is that it is a supportive body of Toastmasters who comes, you know, where you go and this is what the spirit is all about, and this is what it's all about. So Meadowvale is going to be okay because we have friends in good places, and we also have a good spirit, and we're working on it. And
I can attest to that. It's always amazing. It's always a great experience to join a Meadowvale Toastmasters meeting. It's always fun, and I'm always encouraged by the continued camaraderie between the team members and the welcoming spirit that you have. So thank you so much for that, Toastmaster Eileen, and for your continued leadership. All right, so I have 2 more questions to ask before we start asking our guests for any comments they have. This one, Toastmaster Eileen, I know you are a regular participant in the International Convention. For those of us who have never attended an international convention, what is it like, and why should all Toastmasters prepare for Paris next year?
Well, let me tell you something, that the word that's key is international.
Yes.
Therefore, if you go to the international convention, then you're meeting everybody from all over the world. Let me tell you what this has resulted in for me. I have done workshops in Kuwait. I've done workshops in Saudi Arabia. I've done workshops and was a parliamentarian in Dubai, in Jordan, in Abu Dhabi, and in the Kingdom of Bahrain. Ooh. And just all over 6 of the Arab countries. I have been to New Zealand where they invited me over to do a workshop and work with past international presidential and jury. I have been to the first conference that we had in Kuala Lumpur, the first one that we had international, and that was quite the experience. My problem was that I shopped too much, but it was, I got a little shopaholic, but it was absolutely a fabulous conference. But what I understood when I got there, and I had the opportunity to go to China. And when I went to China, I climbed the Great Wall of China. So that was one of my major accomplishments. But the bottom line is this, is that you learn the culture. This is an international organization, and you find out what truly makes it international. You exchange cultures. People were as interested in my Jamaican culture from the little island as I was in their Chinese culture, in the, you know, culture from Malaysia, and the culture from all these other countries that I've been to. So I think it's important for us to get to an international country, because you meet all these people from all over the world, and you are amazed how they will remember you, and they'll keep in touch, and through Facebook and through the, you know, other social media, people really keep in touch. When my daughter died in 2014, it's amazing, the phone calls, not just, you know, Facebook messages that I got from all over the world, all over the world. My friend Mohammed called from Dubai. My friend Khaled called from Saudi Arabia, but it was just people calling to let them know you're in my thoughts. So that's a truly international flavor. And first of all, you get to see the World Championship of Speaking. That's
of course.
That is as good as it gets. So I really encourage you to come to and then you get phenomenal workshops that you don't get a chance to see locally.
Yes.
You know, class. And so I think I would like to encourage everybody to try to make it to Paris.
All right, perfect. So it's Paris next year. All right, awesome. All right, Toastmaster Eileen, before we close out, I want to ask you, what would you recommend to all Toastmasters? What would you recommend to Toastmasters? Or I should say, why would you recommend Toastmasters to everyone out there in podcast land who may not be a Toastmaster today? If they're trying to decide, what would you say to them to help them to cross over?
So let me say this unequivocally. It saved my life.
Wow.
It added to my business life. I am here, I'm going to be turning a little old in about a month. But the bottom line for me is this, that the most remarkable thing about Toastmasters is that the confidence, I mean, my parents could not believe the confidence that I had just joining Toastmasters. When I was 16 and I burst into tears and I couldn't give my speech, I went back for my parents' 40th wedding anniversary. I didn't tell them I joined Toastmasters. The master of ceremonies said, we need for you to speak on behalf of the family. And my father said, no, she's just gonna cry and mess this all up. I said, I'll speak. When I got up there and opened my voice, my mouth, and spoke, my father, the shock on his face, the total shock on my parents' face, you know, I said, what happened? What did you do? What happened to your daughter? And I said, no tears. My father had brought out a box of tissues. And so I just felt that one of the things that has done for me is given me confidence, made me believe in myself. But I've also met a whole wealth of wonderful, wonderful, warm, gracious people. One of whom sent me a poem this week, just to let me know she was thinking about me. But not so much a poem, but she had a whole different perspective on what quarantines are all about. Sent me some words that I wanted to, I'll end my thoughts with that. But just to tell you that not only do you learn to become a good leader, because my leadership skills went up the yin yang, but also you learn to communicate, and it gives you confidence communicating. But what I like about it is that it's a laboratory. If you fall flat in your face, somebody picks you up and gets you where you ought to be. That whole evaluation process is phenomenal. It's not a criticism. It helps you to be better. It helps you to be stronger. It helps you to grow and to achieve. And I've seen that tremendous growth in my own club. So join Toastmasters, join right now, because every opportunity that you don't join is a wasted opportunity.
You heard it from the amazing Eileen Wolfe, everyone. This is a practice grow, and so join Toastmasters today. And Toastmaster Eileen, if anyone wants to reach out to you online, how can they reach you?
Eileen.wolfe@gmail.com, or I'm on WhatsApp. 833-1838 is my phone number.
All right, perfect. And for final thoughts, Toastmaster Eileen, how can anyone add value in Toastmasters?
Sorry? How can?
What is your final thought on how anyone can add value in Toastmasters?
Let me tell you something. Somebody just added value to me. She's one of the ladies that was, she was one of the district officers that was under my jurisdiction when I was a regional advisor.
Okay.
And she has always been checking up. We just became I came very good friends with all my district officers. It was such a wonderful thing. She sent me something a couple of days ago. And she said, this is for you to survive in your district, in your island. And it has been my inspiration, and I look at it every single day. And I just want to share it with you because to me it's incredibly beautiful. And it's about a quarantine. You know, quarantine is bringing up such negative connotations. Everybody's nervous.
Yes,
I hope it's about a quarantine, and everybody's really getting very upset and uptight and being very harsh and critical of people who have been in quarantines. Here is a quarantine from a Toastmasters perspective. Q, quiet your mind. U, unite as one with God. A, act with godly love. R, read your Bible. A, activate your faith. N, nourish your soul. T, talk with God. I, intercede for others. N, nestle in the presence of God. E, elevate God in worship. And that, my friends, is Toastmasters' thoughts on quarantine.
That was beautiful. That was really beautiful, Eileen. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Thank you. I'm happy that we're recording this so we can hear it again and kind of just lull it over as we go through the rest of quarantine time in our various countries in the Caribbean and across the world. So Toastmaster Eileen, I want to thank you so much for the time that you've given to us this afternoon and serving as part of this interview. I am super excited at just hearing all your wealth of experiences, what you've been able to do for our organization, what I know from experience that you continue to do today. It is truly amazing. And I just want to thank you on behalf of everyone that's on for your continued contribution towards this entire organization. And I'm definitely praying that the Lord will continue to keep you and that you'll continue to serve and help and encourage and motivate and direct all of us who look to you for that guidance. So thank you so much, Toastmaster Eileen, for everything that you've done and continue to do for us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
So at this point, Toastmaster Eileen, we have a number of persons on who have some questions for you. And first up, we have the Carol Riley from the Dynamic Speakers Toastmasters Club. So Toastmaster Carol, share with us your questions.
Hey, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Now, I know Eileen not only as a Toastmaster, but as a boss.
Yes.
Yes.
And I also am very aware that she has a wealth of experience as a customer satisfaction expert.
All right.
I would like to ask Eileen if there is any section in her Toastmasters journey that has allowed her to really do so well in customer satisfaction, because she did a mammoth task as the Senior Vice President in customer satisfaction at an organization we both work at. Is there anything that really pushed you and helped you in that field?
Sorry, can I get that again? I didn't hear.
I'm asking if Toastmastering has helped you in any way to be a good customer satisfaction expert.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. One of the things that I found about just being able to express your thoughts, and one of the things too that I learned in the board of directors was taking strategy development to the next level. And it really helped me, and I was able to take that experience. And what is wonderful is combining the business experience with the Toastmaster experience. But it helped me to be able to communicate and express myself, because I didn't realize how much I was losing by the inability to express myself. And when I almost lost that job at the beginning of my career, you know, it made me realize that just being able to have people have confidence in what you say, so that you're sure of yourself, and also to combine the leadership experience with Toastmasters. Toastmasters has the best leadership training. I've done a lot of leadership training outside of Toastmasters. Toastmasters has the best. So to take the leadership training and combine it with your communication training and bring that to the business world, that really helps you to move up the corporate ladder. And I think that's why my career has been so very successful.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Toastmaster Eileen.
Especially strategy development, I must say. Because remember in our group, where's Carol? In our group, we did a lot of strategy development.
Yeah.
And a lot of planning, yeah. So it was a combination. I took that to Toastmasters, and I took Toastmasters knowledge too.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for that, Toastmaster Eileen. Toastmaster Aisha and Toastmaster Bridget, do you have any questions for us?
I don't. Good night, Toastmaster.
Hi there.
I am Toastmaster Aisha from Guyana, from the Classic Toastmasters Club. I don't have a question. I just want to commend you for the knowledge that you just shared. As a young Toastmaster, I've certainly learned a lot of stuff from what you just spoke about. And in my growing up as a Toastmaster, I can definitely use some of those things or all of what you outlined there. Besides not the one to open a club, but the different strategies and so for Toastmaster. And that's why I am in love with Toastmasters Club, because joining, there is no regret. You just have to be willing and push yourself and dedicate yourself to learning and growing. So I want to thank you. I wish if I got to know you personally.
Well, I tell you what, if you just contact me by email, anything that you think of, and I'll be happy to start communicating with you on a regular basis and share with you anything that I have.
Yes, she's an amazing mentor, Aisha, so please do reach out. All right, Bridget.
Melinda, this has been fun.
Yeah, I am very happy to hear that you've enjoyed it. Yes, and I hope you'll come back in future.
Oh yes, definitely.
I have another question for you, Toastmaster.
Get the technology all worked out.
Oh yes, for sure. But Toastmaster Eileen, you have been a mentor to so many of us in so many ways. It's really been amazing the time that you give. Share with me a little bit more about your mentor experience and why this is so important and valuable for you or to you.
Sorry, was that a question?
So share with us, I know you've been a mentor for me and a number of other Toastmasters over these 42 years. So I know mentorship is important to you. So share with us why it's so important to you and what do you...
Because I joined Toastmasters 42 years ago. Okay. And when I walked through that door and Dougie Anderson came to me and said, I'll be your mentor. I had no idea what that meant, but he took me under his wing and he got me. I mean, I would never have imagined that me, a Jamaican, little Jamaican in a big white country, you know, would have the nerve to run for international office, to have the nerve. But he just persuaded me that I was a good Toastmaster, that I had the talent, and it didn't matter where I was from, didn't matter whether my island was 40 people versus 400,000 people. The fact of the matter was that I had the skills. I feel that is very important to let people recognize the fact that there's a lot of talent within them that they might not realize. And I love to bring out the growth in people. I like to bring out the best in people. I like to see people grow and develop and go beyond their wildest dreams. And there's one person that I coach right now from my club, which I'm absolutely thrilled with, and that is Carlton. And every time he wins, I have this sense of satisfaction because every victory that you have, and I've seen you just grow tremendously and just do some phenomenal things. And I consider you one of the great leaders of Division B. Thank you. Every time you do something and I see you do training sessions that you arranged the other day, for example, I was so proud of you. I thought you did such an excellent job. And I like your demeanor, and I like the fact that you take whatever feedback is given to you and you just do whatever you have to do and make it work. And so I'm very, very proud of the people. And so mentorship is important because it gives people support. It helps them to know the best in them. It helps them to have the courage and the confidence to succeed. And it's wonderful to know that somebody believes in you. Somebody believes in you. Yes. And I think that's what really makes me do it all the time is when somebody achieves something where I said, I'm so glad you believed in me, because I do believe in the people that I mentor.
Yes, yes. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Toastmaster Eileen. And I must share, especially Toastmaster Aisha, when I was president of SIPS a couple years ago, Toastmaster Eileen asked me to be her assistant because she was delivering area director training. So I came to support her that day, and she also allowed me to speak from a president's perspective to my expectations of an area director. And what happened is, just being a part of that training, I did not know that that was actually prep for me when I did end up moving into the area director role. So because of what I learned from that moment, it was so much better for me in being able to really meet some of the key objectives of being an area director and being the type of leader that I wanted to be. It allowed me to really meet those objectives. So Toastmaster Eileen, time and time again, whether it was putting together a speech, my number 7, my number 8, my number 9, you were there. Whether it was serving as a president, whether it was serving as an area director, I have been blessed to have so many Toastmasters contribute, and you have been one of my key supporters as well. And it means so much to me, not just the experience that you share, but as you mentioned, to have someone believe in you. It really does change how you see things and how you step out in confidence, knowing you have your cheerleader right behind you who has encouraged you and helped you prep. So I can't thank you enough for being a part of my life. It has really done a lot for me, and I'm forever grateful. So thank you so much for that, and for being a part of this interview, and possibly mentoring Aisha in future. I know she's excited too, and for all that you continue to do for us as an international organization, as a district, and as a division. So I am definitely looking forward to having you on in future. So please look out. And thank you so much again for being a part of this podcast.
Well, thank you, my dear. This has been a great pleasure for me. And
thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. So everyone out there in podcast land, you have heard from the super charmer herself. She's amazing. She's contributed so much, and she's also indicated why everyone should join Toastmasters and continue to build on your confidence and your leadership skills so you can continue to add value to the world. Thank you for joining us for this second episode. And as always, keep being awesome. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Please stay safe.
Good job.